Hello there guys, this is Rush Prince with another Total War Attila video, and this one is going to be about unit rosters of all factions. So we have Alans, Eastern Roman Empire, Franks, Huns, Ostrogoths, Sassanid Empire, Saxons, Vandals, Visigoths, and the Western Roman Empire. But I don't have access to the Viking Forefathers culture pack, so I'm just gonna go over these ones. Not all the unit rosters, so a few missing, but let's look at the Alans first. So you can see they have two generals, Germanic nobles. He is a medium melee infantry unit. Then you have the Alani general with wedge, steady, disciplined, encourage, and hide in forest. Then you see, well, Germanic noble does have steady, so pretty important as well. So it does seem to do quite well in terms of blocking missiles and such. But anyway, this is just the unit roster, so I will not go in detail too much. Here we have Germanic Levy, Bear Light Spear Infantry, all these stats over here. Let's see, AP damage, melee AP damage. Why not? Let's look at all these as well. So here we have those stats. These guys with these stats over here as well. As for the Germanic Spearmen, well, this is their shield value and their base value, then the melee damage. We have Germanic Spearmasters, so let's look at them as well. Armor values and then missile damage. Of course, they do have Headhunt as well, or Unbreakable as it's called, and Spear Wall. Well, Standard Shot, that's their javelins, I guess. Expert Charge Defense, and Hide Forest. In Forest, basically. And we do have some Pike Infantry for the Alans, actually, over here. You see their stats as well. Oh, did I go over this for the Germanic Spearmasters? Already forgot. I think I did. But yeah, they have two jabs. Pikes, let's see armor values and then melee damage values. Okay, now let's look at melee infantry. Noble Germanic Swordsman. Melee damage. Oh, melee damage, my bad. And then armor. Let's look at Sarmatian Warband. Damage and armor. These guys do also have missiles. They're darts. Thirsty Warriors. 56 melee damage, 40 base, 16 AP. 23 base, no shields. Elite Thirsty Warriors, let's see. 40 base, 16 AP. Then 23 base value as well, no shields. Missile damage 90 as well, 70 base, 20 AP. Now the axes. Let's see. 16 base, 16 AP. 3 base armor and 15 out of shields. Let's see the Germanic Warband. 16 base damage, 16 AP. 10 base and 15 shields. The bows, let's see. Oh, I probably forgot to go over some abilities. Let's go back again. So these guys have immune to fear. Then they have scare everyone, hide forest, resistant to fatigue, standard shot, frenzy again. Whereas these guys, only one of them has frenzy, the other does not. It just has the resistant to fatigue and hide in forest. See the bows now. So melee damage. Well, not melee damage. This isn't too important. Let's look at missile damage. Okay, there we go. Standard shot, flaming shot, whistling shot, and heavy shot. Resistant to fatigue and hide in forest. So yeah, these guys have basically the same. I mean, the tooltips for these shot types will always be the same, but they do have precision shot. Resistant to fatigue and hide in forest. Missile damage here as well. Let's look at Germanic archers now. So, did I look at these guys? Damage of these guys. Let's look again. Should be the same, I think. As for these guys, you can see they've got different missile damage. Armor is the same basically. Ammunition is also higher. Now let's look at these guys. A little bit higher armor. Missile damage is 35 base and 10 AP. The crossbows. Let's take a look. 3 base and then missile damage is 15 base, 50 AP, basically. In terms of abilities, they have barrage, precision shot. Let's see all of those as well. Slingers, slingers. So armor 3 base, then missile damage as well. 50 base and no armor piercing at all. The Germanic brigands over here. Missile damage is 90, 70 base and 20 AP. They have, let's see exactly if they have anything specific. 10 base and 5 shield armor. Standard shot. Campaign stealth. Very, very interesting. Resistant to fatigue. Guerrilla deployment, hide in scrub and forest. Ignore terrain. Very interesting. Then snipe. So it can actually fire from like a forest without showing itself, interestingly enough. And it's a very cheap unit, so it might be very, very effective if you think about it. Anyway, let's look at the melee cavalry. A lot more units to go through still. This video might be extremely long. So let's look at them. Melee damage. Armor. Health. It's important to look at the health of cavalry because men have health, and also the cavalry, the horses themselves have HP. So let's see. Resistant to fatigue and hide in forest. The Lani horsemen. They have all of these stats over here. 24 and 8 AP. 10 base, 30 shield value. Health 110 men HP. 105 mount HP. They have diamond, which grants these bonuses. These guys did not. Don't have the resistance though to fatigue. Germanic horsemen. Let's see. Melee damage. Then armor. And health. Noble Alani cavalry. Let's see. Do any of these have any specific traits? Nope. Now I'm just gonna go over them very quickly because this video is gonna be very long otherwise. Typhalic Cav. Let's see. This is the melee damage. This is the armor. This is the missile damage. Noble Germanic horseman. Melee damage. Armor. And health. Elite Agathyrsi cavalry. I don't even know how to actually pronounce that. Sorry. Here's their melee damage, their armor, and their health. You do see that some of these do have some different abilities, like the Typhalic Cav has rapid advance. Actually, even heavy shot on melee cavalry, interesting. Expert charge defense, disciplined, and hide in forest. Shock cavalry. Let's look at the Germanic lancers. So they have this melee damage, this amount of armor, and let's see the health. Here we go. And again, my mouse disconnecting and reconnecting, which is pretty bad. Let's look at the Sarmatian cataphracts. Melee damage here, armor, and health. Elite Sarmatian cataphracts though. Melee damage is over here. Armor and missile damage. Let's look at health as well. Did I look at the health and armor of these units? Well, I'm gonna go over again. These guys do have frenzy though. Now the bow cavalry, let's see, also rapid advance, melee damage, armor, missile damage, health. These guys, let's see, melee damage, armor, health, missile damage. Alright, they do have firewall moving. Interesting. I believe this one does too, indeed. Now the skirmisher cavalry, and we're almost done with the Alans. Lots more factions to go though, so bear with me. Let's see, melee damage over here. Armor, health, missile damage. Germanic mounted brigands, melee damage. Armor, health, and missile damage. Again, you see all these different abilities. Guerrilla deployment again, hide in forest, ignore terrain. Germanic raiders, let's see, melee damage. Armor, health, missile damage. Now, the Germanic knight raiders. Melee damage. Armor, health, and missile damage. Sarmatian spears. Melee damage, armor, health, and that would basically be it. Don't think I missed anything. Oh, this guy has a raider. May set buildings on fire, cause more fire damage with torches, and capture faster than other units. So that is something interesting to note. And let's see. Let's look at the Alani spearmen now, which are actually warhounds, interestingly enough. Let's look at melee damage, armor, and health. They also have encourage. This unit does not. The artillery, in case it's interesting. Let's look at their health. Their missile damage, probably most important. Let's look at barrage, standard round, flaming round as well. Does a lot of explosive damage, apparently. But the much higher base reload, it seems, and cannot run. Okay, large onager. Let's look at it. Missile damage, much lower. Moves slower as well. Lots of damage on it. Even higher health, slightly higher. Barrage, standard round, flaming round, explosive round, and cannot run as well. So we're finally done with the Alans. Yay! Now let's move on to the Eastern Roman Empire, which has a lot of units, as you may have actually guessed. Magister Militum. Well, first let's go with the Palatina Guards. Melee damage, armor, health. Then look at these stats. Attacking Testudo, disciplined, and hide in forest. Comis. Melee damage, armor, health. And the Magister Militum, he does have steady actually. So let's look at melee damage, armor, and health as well. Now let's look at the infantry, the spear infantry units. Melee damage, armor, and health. Comitatensis spears, melee damage, armor, and health. The Lanciari Seniores, melee damage, armor, and health. Eastern Auxiliary Palatina, melee damage, armor, and health again. Let's look at their abilities. They do have defensive testudo, steady, expert charge defense, discipline, encourage, and hide in forest. The other ones don't have anything in particular. The pike infantry. Can't pronounce these guys. Menolatoi. Okay, something like that, I guess. Let's see. Melee damage, armor, and health. Then you look at their abilities. Pike phalanx, rapid advance, discipline, encourage, and hide in forest. The melee infantry, Exploratores, melee damage, armor, health, and then let's look at their abilities, rapid advance, all of these abilities. Palatina, melee damage, armor, health, all these abilities as well. Preventores, melee damage, armor, health, lot of abilities as well. Protectores domestici, melee damage, armor and health, some abilities but not too many, and cohorts, melee damage, armor and health. They also have missile damage, and then none of these actually have missile damage, do they? Okay, Legio or Legio, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. We have standard shot. Okay, so that is the standard shot for like the melee infantry. Melee damage here, armor and health, missile damage here too. Numeroi, melee damage, armor, health, and all these abilities that the others basically have. Eastern Armored Legio, for melee damage, armor, and health. Missile damage too. And just going to go over the missile damage of this unit again to compare. I think they got slightly more than these guys. Anyway, that is beside the point, so let's continue looking at the Axe Infantry now. The Hetaerea Guards, they have this amount of melee damage, this amount of armor, this amount of health, and missile damage. Now let's look at the bows. The Sagittari, they have this amount of armor, health, and missile damage. These abilities too. Nothing new. Then the Armored Sagittari, they have this armor, health, missile damage. Crossbowmen, this amount of armor, health, missile damage. The Elite Ballistari, compared to the Ballistari, let's see the differences. Well, wow, surprisingly a lot of melee damage over here. Wow, that's a lot of melee damage. The armor, then the health, and the missile damage. And the abilities, precision, shot, barrage. Basically similar abilities, but slightly different since they're crossbowmen. Slingers, the Funditores, armor, health, missile damage. Skirmishes, the Levis Armature, they have armor, this amount of armor, health, and missile damage. As for the melee cav, well, finally we're gonna be done with the Eastern Roman Empire, but not quite yet. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. You do have these abilities, and then the Equites Dalmatae, they have melee damage, armor, health, missile damage. Let's see here, standard shot as well. The Equites Promoti, they have, let's see, armor here, the missile damage is also here. Scolae Palatinae, they have this, basically. No new abilities on them. And the Excubitores Cavalry Guard. Let's see, melee damage, then the armor, the health of the unit, the abilities as well, nothing too new. The Tacmara Cavalry, which is fairly strong. These stats here, and here. Shock Cavalry, let's look at the Contari now. Melee damage, armor, health, and abilities. The Cataphractari, melee damage, armor, health, and wedge, actually, not diamond. Clibonari, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Bocav, only one unit. Equites Sagittari, they have they actually have a lot of melee damage, surprisingly. It's health and missile damage over here. These are the abilities of it. I don't think these guys got any new abilities. Perhaps this one over here, it has Scare. It's basically the only new ability we haven't looked at so far. Now the Skirmisher Cavalry, the Imperial Dromedari, they have following stats: melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Advanced precision shot, resistant to heat, and they scare the horses, apparently. Fire while moving and stuff. Now the artillery again, the Onager, armor, health, and missile damage. Large Onager, armor, health, and missile damage. Abilities, nothing new, I guess, on any of those. Yeah, nothing new. The Scorpio, this Kira Ballista or something. Yep. Armor, health, missile damage. Does have barrage and standard round and cannot run. And now that's the Eastern Roman Empire. We only have about 8 more factions to go. So bear with me, guys. Still much more to do. Generals, Germanic nobles, melee damage, armor, health. These statistics. Frankish general, melee damage, armor, health. These abilities too. Nothing new. Spear infantry, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Now the Germanic spearmen, melee damage, armor, health, and that is about it. As for the Germanic spears, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Pike infantry, Germanic pikes, melee damage, armor, and health. These abilities too. As for the melee infantry, the Bogodé, they have melee damage, armor, health. These abilities. The Freemen. Oh, we have Freemen. Not Levy Freeman though, but still. These stats over here. Seems. Melee damage, armor, health. These abilities. Noble Germanic swordsman, melee damage, armor, health. I actually have shield wall, so that is a new ability. I'll hover over it again so you can see it better. Sword Hairbon. Let's see. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. It does have standard shot, it seems, and also shield wall. The elite sword Hairbon. Let's see the melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage as well. All these abilities over here too. Now the Royal Anstrationis, they have melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. As for the Axis, Germanic band, melee damage, armor, health. The Germanic warband, melee damage, armor, health. Also frenzy on these guys and scare everyone. The Axe Hairband, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. The Francisca Hairband, they have melee damage, armor, and health. Also missile damage over here. Let's see the Bow Infantry, the Germanic bows, health, or rather armor, health, and missile damage. Germanic Hunters, armor, health, missile damage here. Germanic Archers, armor, health, missile damage. Elite Germanic Archers, armor, health, missile damage. No new abilities, I think everything else is the same. Crossbow Infantry, Germanic Crossbowmen, armor, health, missile damage. I think everything else had no new abilities, right? I didn't miss any abilities, I think. What was this ability? Was it scary? Yeah, it was. Then let's look at the Germanic Hurlers, armor, health, missile damage. Skirmishes, Germanic Brigands, let's see, armor, health, and then missile damage. Then the Frankish Skirmishes, armor, health. Ooh, they have a lot of melee damage. Wow. And then missile damage. As for the melee cavalry, let's look at the Germanic Mounted Warband, melee damage, armor, and health. No new abilities over here, I think. I didn't miss anything. What is this? Ignore terrain, of course, hide, scrub, and forest, snipe. No new abilities. Okay, let's look at the Germanic Horsemen, melee damage, armor, and health. A lot of these units are, I think, yeah, some cavalry units are actually shared between other factions, but I'll just go over them anyway, in case they are different. But very, very unlikely, I guess. So let's look at melee damage, armor, health, again, all these abilities, nothing new. Shock cavalry, let's look at the Germanic Lancers, melee damage, armor, health. The Salian Frankish Lancers, melee damage, armor, health. The Frankish Lancers, melee damage, armor, and health. Austriciones Cavalry Guard, melee damage, armor, and health. No new abilities from what it seems. The Sacra Francisca, melee damage, armor, and health. Lots of abilities too. Well, actually not too many. Skirmisher Cavalry now. Germanic Mounted Brigands. Decent amount of melee damage actually. Armor, health, missile damage. Let's see, the Germanic Raiders. Let's look at them too. Armor, health, and missile damage. Decent melee damage for these guys too, surprisingly. Then the Germanic Knight Raiders. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. All these abilities, so many abilities for these guys. A lot of abilities. Then the Artillery Onagers. Armor, health, and missile damage. The Large Onager, armor, health, and missile damage. That is basically the Franks. Let's go over the Huns now. These guys should have a huge roster, and indeed they do. Let's see. Steppe Chieftain, General. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Then we have the Steppe Warlord, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Also Frenzy over here. The other unit did not have it. Nothing new, I believe. Hunnic Warlord, melee damage, armor, and health. This amount of missile damage as well. Let's look at the Spears. Steppe Levy. These guys have melee damage, armor, and health. Of course, expert charge defense too. Hunnic Spears, melee damage, armor, and health. Shield screen on them. Steppe Spearmen, melee damage, armor, and health. Also shield screen here apparently. Syria Warriors, melee damage, armor, health, and all this missile damage. Nothing new over here, I believe. Yeah, nothing new in particular. Then the melee infantry, we have the Steppe Tribes people. Melee damage, armor, and health. The Hunnic Dismounted Warband, melee damage, armor, and health. Bosporan Warriors, melee damage, armor, and health. Nothing new in terms of abilities, I believe. Uor Warriors, melee damage, armor, and health. Lots of abilities too. The Chosen Uor Warriors, melee damage, armor, and health. Good amount of abilities on these guys too. Now let's go to the Axe Infantry. Have the Steppe Warriors, melee damage, armor, and health. Let's look at missile damage as well. The bows. Steppe bows, armor, health, missile damage. All these abilities too. 1 second, I need to drink something. So let's take a look at the Steppe Shield Archers now. We don't need to look, and let's not look at their melee damage anymore. Actually, whatever, let's make it complete. Armor, health, and missile damage. All these abilities. Or archers, armor, health, and missile damage. Lot of abilities too. Again, let's look at the melee cavalry. The step-mounted tribespeople, melee damage, armor, and health. These abilities too. Step-mounted brigands, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage this time around. Hunnic-mounted warband, melee damage, armor, and health. Firewall moving, again, tons of abilities for these guys. Step raiders, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Shamans of the Eternal Sky, melee damage, armor, and health. Missile damage. Let's see, any new abilities? Doesn't look like there's any new abilities. Then the Hunnic Horseman, melee damage, armor, and health. Missile damage here too. Firewall moving, scare everyone. Okay. Noble Akatsiri Raiders, melee damage, armor, and health. Missile damage too. Let's look over the missile damage of these guys. Probably not, so let's look again. Let's look here too. I don't remember if I did already. Already forgetting. Hunnic Devil Cavalry, very cool name. But actually, let's look at, what is this? Raider again, so nothing new. Hunnic Devil Cavalry, let's look at them. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. The Nook Horse, they have melee damage, armor, and health, and missile damage. Let's just show the missile damage of these guys in case you missed them. Shock Cavalry. And lots more cavalry for these guys. So good melee damage, armor, and health. So no new abilities here. Step Cataphracts, melee damage, armor, and health. Some abilities here, but nothing new. Hunnic Lancers, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. And let's look at the Elite Hunnic Lancers, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. A load of abilities for these guys. They even have like heavy shot, whistling shot, flaming shot, and standard shot as shock cavalry. Very interesting. First Wave Lancers, melee damage, armor, health, missile damage. Yeah, as you can basically see right now, the shock cav have very low melee attack and melee damage and lower armor in general compared to the melee cav, it seems. I think actually not necessarily lower armor, but yeah, not necessarily lower armor, but definitely lower melee attack and weapon damage generally. So I went over the first wave guys. Let's see. Oh, they have, this one has scare everyone, but not this Cataphract unit. Interesting. Anyway, this Cataphract unit has melee damage, armor, and health, and missile damage. I think that is basically it. Nothing new. Now let's look at the bow cav, and the Huns of course have a lot of bow cav. Step mounted bows, armor, health, missile damage. Hunnic mounted bows. Let's look. They have a lot of melee damage. Wow. A lot of melee damage. Yeah, so much melee damage. Anyway, then let's look at armor, health, and missile damage again. Over here, the Step Horse Archers, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Firewall moving still. Hunnic Horse Archers, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. So a lot of that as well. Let's look at Noble Horse Archers, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. No new abilities, I think, either. Hunnic Ambushers, melee damage, armor, health, missile damage, rapid advance, precision shot. So many abilities for this guy. These guys have Parthian shot though. Not sure if the rest did. Nope, they did not. Let's look at the Hunnic Devil Archers. Then melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Look at the missile damage of these guys. Don't quite remember. Anyway, now I did. Let's look at the Uniguard. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Any new abilities? Not really, I guess. Let's look at the Avar Horde. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. These guys have barrage, but nothing new other than that. Artillery, let's see, armor, health, missile damage. The large onagers. Oh, those were the onagers. Now the large onagers. Very, very similar, I guess, but more missile damage though. Let's see. Yeah, a lot more missile damage basically. And those were the Huns. So we're done with 4 factions. Still 6 to go through, and that's not even considering the culture pack. Let's look at the Ostrogoths then. So for the Ostrogoths, we have Germanic nobles. Get melee damage, armor and health. No new abilities. Royal Sionis general. Let's see, melee damage, armor and health. The Gothic general, melee damage, armor and health. Missile damage too. No new abilities. No. Now let's look at the spear infantry for these guys. The Germanic levy. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Standard shot and spear wall, interestingly enough. Germanic spearmen. Melee damage, armor and health. Expert charge defense, interestingly enough. Germanic spearmen, spearmasters rather. Melee damage, armor and health, missile damage too. Pikes, Germanic pikes. Let's look at melee damage, armor and health. A lot of abilities too, and the mouse is disconnecting again. Gothic levy, melee damage, armor and health. Pike phalanx, indeed, because all these units are pikes. Now the Gothic pikes have melee damage, armor and health. The elite Ostrogothic pikemen, melee damage, armor and health. I believe all of these, or most of these, have steady. Actually, just this one unit has steady, interestingly enough. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Melee infantry, we have the noble Germanic swordsman with this amount of melee damage, this amount of armor and health. Shield wall and a lot of other abilities. Gothic Volksman, melee damage, so much melee damage on them. The armor, the health, 0 armor, completely 0 missile damage. And no new abilities from what I can see. The Gothic warband now though, let's look at it. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. No new abilities. Gothic Palatina defectors. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. They have attacking testudo. Okay. Thracian warriors. Interesting units. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Thracian Oathsworns. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Guys have Skea as well. Interesting. The Axe Infantry, the Germanic band, have this amount of melee damage, armor, health. Germanic Warband, melee damage, armor, health, frenzy as well. Let's look at the bows. There are quite a few bows. They have the Germanic bows, armor, health, missile damage, standard shot, flaming, whistling, heavy. Germanic hunters, armor, health, and missile damage. Also have precision shot, these guys, compared to the others. Germanic archers, armor, health, and missile damage. Okay. Gothic archers, lots more melee damage than armor, health, and missile damage. Elite Germanic archers, armor, health, and missile damage. They have rapid advance. Okay, crossbow infantry, Germanic crossbowmen, armor, health, and missile damage. still. Let's look at this. Now the slingers, the Germanic hurlers. Again, I'm going over the same units, but still. Just making sure. The skirmishers, the Germanic brigands, armor, health, missile damage. Melee cavalry now. The Germanic mounted warband, melee damage. Armor, health. Germanic horsemen, melee damage, armor, health, and diamond. So let's look at the Typhalic cavalry, melee damage, armor, health, missile damage. And the noble Germanic horsemen, melee damage, armor, health, steady as well. Shock cav, Germanic lancers, melee damage, armor, health. Gothic lancers, melee damage, armor, health. The noble Gothic lancers, melee damage, armor, health. No new abilities at all. Skirmisher cavalry, Germanic mounted brigands, melee damage, armor, health, missile damage. Leave nothing new here. Nope, nothing new. Germanic raiders, melee damage, armor, health, missile damage. Precision shot, okay, all these abilities. Germanic Knight Raiders, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. So many abilities that they have. Artillery Onagers, armor, health, missile damage. So the same barrage, standard round, flaming round. Basically all of these are the same. Missile damage. Mission. Of course, this is a little bit different because these guys are large, so they have more missile damage overall. Those were the Ostrogoths. Let's move on to the Sassanids. Let's see how they are. So here you have the Sassanids. We have the Persian nobles general. He is, let's see, he has this amount of melee damage, armor, health, and all these abilities. Now we see the Savaran Sardar, or Savaran Sardar, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Melee damage, armor, health, then missile damage over here, as well as all the abilities over here. He has diamond, not wedge, scare, all these projectiles, courage, even hide, forest, and spachbed. He has this stats, these stats rather, missile damage. Let's see all the unit statistics over here. And then we have some spear units. Pagan band, rather. Health, and those are stats. Have the Persian levy, melee damage, armor, and health. The Armenian spears, melee damage, armor, and health. Now the Immortals, melee damage, armor, and health. All these abilities. They actually have square, interestingly enough, and unbreakable. Some of these other ones do, like the Armenian spears and expert charge, defense, discipline, and hide and forest. Elite Immortals, 32 melee damage, this amount of armor and health, missile damage actually as well, 70-20. I believe it's the same for this one, 70-20 indeed. Now the melee infantry, Persian brigade, melee damage, armor, and health. And we see the Sogdian warriors, melee damage, armor, and health. Dailamite warriors, or Dailamite warriors, all these stats basically, missile damage as well. Do have a shield wall though, standard shot and hide. It's 70-20 again, right? Yeah, it is. And then elite Dailamite infantry. Let's see, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Of course, the health, since it's just a melee unit, it's pretty obvious that it's not gonna have mount HP. But anyway, moving on to bow infantry. Wait, let's look at all these abilities. Oh, we do have frenzy on one of these units. Interesting. Two of them actually. The rest have shield wall. So the Persian bows. Let's see, armor, health, missile damage. Again, standard shot, flaming shot, whistling shot, and heavy shot. Resistant to fatigue and hide in forest. Persian bowman. Melee damage. They have a lot of melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Also have precision shot in comparison. So this is a better unit, of course, than the other one. Let's see, Kurdish archers. Let's see them. They do have rapid advance, so that is interesting. Armor, health, and missile damage. Also the melee damage is over here. Pretty high, 40 for a archer unit. Royal Persian archers, they have a lot of melee damage. As you can see here. Well, actually less melee damage than the others, interestingly enough. They do have more ammo though. Let's see the armor, the health, and the missile damage. We see the precision shot and all the different shot types again. See the slingers. These guys have 2 different slinger types, interestingly enough. Armor, health, and missile damage. Of course, precision shot and standard shot. They have 0 AP, right? Yes, 0 AP, so very ineffective. Now Armenian slingers though, look at the difference in armor. Wow. Difference in armor is massive. They don't run as quickly though, but they do however have more ammunition. And I wonder how their missile damage is. See, still 0 AP, but precision shot and standard shot. So they won't do too well against armored targets. Now the Persian skirmishers, armor, health, missile damage. Very, very high AP and base damage. Basically, the Kurdish javelin men, armor, health, and missile damage. Pretty high. Now the melee cavalry. Let's see, Persian mounted warriors, armor, health. Or let's look at melee damage. Armor and health, just hide in forest. Persian scouts, melee damage, armor and health over here. Let's look at missile damage as well, because they do seem to have javelins. Not much damage on them though. All these abilities, the different shot types, and not many new things. Lakhmid scouts, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Lots more missile damage on these guys, like a lot more, and these guys seem to be far better than the others. Not in speed though. Not in speed, but the other stats are a lot better. They don't have some shot types though. I see. They only have standard shot, that is a difference. Anyway, Camel Klibanari, melee damage, armor and health. Persian Camel Raiders, melee damage, armor and health, and missile damage. Of course, Sogdian Camel Raiders, they have this amount of melee damage. Decent armor, I guess. Lots of health, holy wow, but it's mostly mount HP. Then missile damage. That's basically it. Let's look at their abilities. Frenzy, rapid advance, so standard shot, guerrilla deployment. So this is different. They scare horses. It's a new thing, but they're camels. The other units didn't. Okay, shock cavalry. Now let's look at the cataphracts and see how they are. The Persian cataphracts, melee damage, armor, health, and resistant to fatigue and hide in forests. Savaran cataphracts, melee damage, armor, health, and wedge. Let's see, Griv Panvar cataphracts, melee damage, armor, health. Have wedge as well. Then the Pushtigban cataphracts, melee damage, armor and health. Steady as well, that's a new thing. Gyan of Spar, melee damage, armor and health, wedge and steady. And I believe Disciplined or Encourage is new here. I guess it's Encourage. The Gyan of Spar. As for the bow cav, let's see. Persian mounted bowmen, armor, health, and missile damage. Let's see, precision shot, standard shot, flaming shot, whistling shot, and heavy shot. Let's look at the Persian camel archers. A lot of melee damage in comparison. Armor, health, missile damage. Different shot types. Again, the scaring horses thing. The Zayadan Immortal Cavalry. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. These guys don't scare though because they're not horses. They do have Parthian shot though, interestingly enough. Crossbow cavalry, so this is fairly new. Let's look at the Savaran cavalry. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. barrage, standard shot, flaming shot, whistling shot, heavy shot, hide in forest, and fire while moving. Then we have the elite Savaran cavalry, melee damage, armor, health, missile damage. They seem to have precision shot in addition, so that is interesting. Then we see some elephants, finally, yay, because it's Sassanid Empire. Melee damage, wow. Armor, health, and missile damage. Let's see what abilities they have. Kill the elephant, standard shot, flaming shot, whistling shot, heavy shot, mighty knockback. This was also in room 2. Fire while moving, Parthian shot, resistant to heat, run amok, lead, scare everyone, and immune to fear. Second elephant unit, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Seems to have fairly similar. I don't think it has. No, it doesn't have any extra abilities. It just has like a lot more health in general and like more armor and melee defense and melee attack, I guess. More ammunition, but still lots more morale as well, interesting enough. And then the naft throwers. Let's see, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. So these guys should have a lot of damage. Indeed, they have 100 explosive damage. Set fuse. So yeah, they actually set fuse, and it takes some time for them to do that. Then rapid advance, standard shot. As you can see, it makes them much slower when they set the fuse. Discipline, all these units. And then let's see artillery. These guys have a better artillery unit, seems, but let's look at it. Armor, health, missile damage, fairly similar. Now the large onager, oh, it seems to have yeah, in addition explosive rounds. So let's see, armor, health, missile damage. And then the biggest one, the Sassanid large onager, armor, health, and missile damage. Now let's see, barrage, standard round, flaming round, explosive round. And that is the Sassanid Empire. So we have 4 factions remaining. Now we have the Saxons. They have a lot of units as well. So again, bear with me. They have the Nordic Warlord, melee damage, armor, health, and all these abilities, including shield wall, nothing too new. Nordic Raid Leader, melee damage, armor, health, shield wall, hide in forest, raider, scare everyone, immune to fear. Chieftain with Gedricht, melee damage, armor, health, shield wall, steady, discipline, encourage, hide forest. Let's see, the Nordic Levy, melee damage, armor and health. These are like spear units. Saxon Spears, melee damage, armor and health. They have shield screen, expert charge, defense, and a lot of normal stuff. The Nordic Spearmen now, 32 melee damage, armor, health, and shield screen. All these abilities. Elite Nordic Spearmen, melee damage, armor and health, shield screen, frenzy, expert charge, defense, hide and forest. Elite the Goth Spearmen, melee damage, armor, health, and nothing new here either. Nordic Spearmasters, melee damage, armor and health. Pike Infantry, let's see, Nordic Pikemen, melee damage, armor and health. And the melee infantry, Nordic Band, melee damage, armor and health. Do have a javelin unit for 120, 70 base damage and 20 armor piercing. New Levy Freeman maybe? I don't know. Standard shot, resistant to fatigue and hide in forest, and the Nordic Brigade. These guys have more javs. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. And the Hearthguard, melee damage, armor and health. These guys didn't have anything too good, but I guess they're very cheap, so they have really bad stats. They do have the jabs though, which might be interesting. Then we have the Nordic Warriors, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. These guys do have immune to fear, scare everyone, very interesting. Elite Nordic Warriors, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Shield wall and frenzy, interesting abilities. Then the Geziktas or Jezithas. I don't know how to pronounce this, okay? Sorry guys. Anyway, melee damage, armor, health, missile damage. Shield wall, steady. And the Chosen Warriors, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. We see some axes as well over here. The Nordic Axe Warriors, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage as well. Some frenzy abilities here. Standard shot, resistant to fatigue, hide and force here. Everyone immune to fear, normal stuff. Nordic Axe, warband, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Shield wall and standard shot as well. The bow infantry over here, Nordic bows, armor, health, and missile damage. See all these different shot types as well. Then the slinger, just the regular Nordic hurlers, armor, health, and missile damage over here. As usual, I've said it so many times already, but I'm going to continue with it. So the Nordic skirmishers now. Armor, health, and missile damage. You see the precision shot here, standard shot as well. Nordic brigands, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Then the Jogoth javelin men, armor, health, and missile damage. Nordic javelin men, armor, health, and missile damage. Nothing new on any of these units, I believe. Just, yeah, hide, scrub, and forest. Okay. Nordic javelin men, did I go over them? I already forgot. Armor, health, and missile damage over here. Anyway, now the elite Saxon javelin men, armor, health, and missile damage. Wow, these guys. So they have a lot of melee damage. Okay. So they aren't too bad in melee either, apparently. According to those stats, and so much more armor. Now, let's move on to the melee cavalry department. Nordic mounted raiders, armor. Wait, melee damage. Armor, health, and missile damage. See, nothing new over here. Nordic horse raiders, melee damage. Armor and health and missile damage, of course. Saxon mounted warband, melee damage. Armor, health, and missile damage. Also have wedge. Nordic horse lords, melee damage. Armor, health, and missile damage. They also have unbreakable, which is basically headhunt, standard shot. Nothing new otherwise. Heroic cavalry, melee damage. Armor, health, and missile damage. Nothing new here, I guess. Not really. Shock cavalry, only one unit, the Saxon lancers, melee damage. Armor, health. Let's see, wedge and hide in forest, basically over here. Skirmisher cavalry, Nordic raiders, melee damage. Armor, health, and missile damage, as usual. Let's see if there are any abilities here. Encourage, interesting, standard shot, guerrilla deployment, firewall moving, nothing new. Warhounds, melee damage. Armor and health. Rapid advance, even interesting die unit. Then the artillery again. Went over it, but let's go over it again and again and again. Many times. Okay, there we have the missile damage as well. Barrage, standard round, flaming round. And the large onager, let's see. Armor, health, and missile damage. Barrage, standard round, flaming round, explosive round. Those were the Saxons. So we have 3 more factions to go through. Now let's go through the Vandals. Germanic nobles, melee damage. Armor and health. The Vandal warlord, melee damage. Armor and health, nothing too big here. The spear infantry, melee damage. Armor, health, and missile damage. Do have spear wall and standard shot, so okay. The Germanic spearmen here, melee damage, armor, and health. Also spear wall. Then we have the Germanic Spearmasters, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. We have the spear wall and unbreakable again, standard shot. Pike infantry, Germanic pikes, melee damage, armor, health. Of course the pike phalanx instead, because it's a pike unit. Melee infantry, noble Germanic swordsman, melee damage, armor, health. See shield wall over here, disciplined, encourage, and hide in forest. Noble Suebi swordsman, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Wow, so much missile damage, and it's all AP. Shield wall, frenzy, standard shot, discipline, encourage. Okay, Vandal berserkers, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Nothing new, but they have... Oh, they have berserk, of course. So that is interesting because they're berserkers. Now the Axe infantry, Germanic band, have this amount of melee damage, armor, health. Let's look at the Germanic warband. They have this amount of melee damage, armor, and health. And let's look at the bow infantry, Germanic bows, armor, health, and missile damage. Germanic hunters, armor, health, and missile damage. I don't think we have any new abilities to speak of. Let's see. Germanic archers, armor, health, and missile damage. And just the usual abilities here for archers. Then elite Germanic archers, armor, health, and missile damage, of course. Just precision shot and rapid advance. Crossbow infantry, Germanic crossbows, again going over them. Missile damage over here. Let's see, precision shot and barrage. Slinger, Germanic hurlers. See armor, health, and missile damage. Skirmishers, Germanic brigands, armor, health, and missile damage. All these abilities over here. Let's look at the melee cavalry now, though. Lots of cavalry. Germanic mounted warband, melee damage, armor, health, and all these abilities just do. Alani horsemen, okay, melee damage, armor, health, and they have diamond instead. Germanic horsemen, melee damage, armor, and health. So it's a bit redundant because I'm going over some units that I've already gone through, but just different factions, so might as well if people want to skip from one faction to another, for instance. Anyway, melee damage of noble Alani cavalry, armor, and health. Ooh, okay. Let's look at Typhali cavalry, melee damage, armor, and health. Missile damage over here. And let's see these abilities. Wedge, rapid advance, standard shot, flaming, okay, normal stuff. Vandal raiders, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Let's see, noble Germanic horsemen, melee damage, armor, health. Let's see, diamond, steady over here. And chosen Vandal raiders, such an expensive unit. Wow, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. All these abilities over here. Let's look at the shock cav. So Germanic lancers, melee damage, armor, health. Now the light Moorish cavalry, melee damage, armor, and health. The Royal Suebi cavalry, melee damage, armor, health. Skirmisher cavalry, Germanic mounted brigands, melee damage, armor, and health, with a lot of missile damage. Apparently precision shot, nothing new here. Firewall moving, okay. Germanic raiders, melee damage, armor, and health, with this amount of missile damage as well. Precision shot, standard shot, okay. All these abilities, campaign stealth, okay, we've seen it before. Germanic knight raiders, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. I'm gonna get tired of saying this all the time, these words. Let's see. Warhounds, Sarmatian spears, melee damage, armor, health, and a lot of abilities over here. Alani spearmen, melee damage, armor, health, courage, rapid advance, expert charge, defense, and hide in forest. Artillery onagers, let's see, armor, health, and missile damage. They have barrage, standard round, flaming round, and cannot run. Large onager, armor, health, missile damage. And let's see, barrage, standard round, flaming round, explosive round, and cannot run. So those were the Vandals. 2 more factions to go through. Basically, let's look at the Visigoths. Let's see what they have. So these are the Visigoths. Let's look at them. Germanic nobles general, melee damage, armor and health. The Gothic general, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. All these abilities 2. Spear infantry, Germanic levy, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. These abilities. Spear infantry, Germanic spearmen, melee damage, armor, health. Also these units, these abilities rather, Germanic spearmasters, armor, health, and missile damage. Have spear wall, unbreakable, standard shot, expert charge, defense, and hide and forest. Pike infantry, Germanic pikes. Let's see their stats. Okay, then the Gothic levy. They have expert charge, defense, interesting. Melee damage, armor, health. Gothic pikemen, melee damage, armor, health. See those abilities. Now let's look at the, whoops, not so far down. Let's look at the melee infantry. The noble Germanic swordsman, melee damage, armor, health, shield wall, disciplined, encourage, and hide in forest. The Gothic Volksmen, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage, of course. And rapid advance, standard shot. Let's look at Gothic warband, melee damage, armor, health, missile damage over here as well. These abilities. Gothic Palatina defectors, again melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Keeps repeating. Very similar units. Now Thracian warriors, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Rapid advance, unbreakable, standard shot. Thracian oathsworns, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Advance, scare, standard shot, discipline and courage, resistant fatigue, and hide in forest. Axe infantry, Germanic band, melee damage, armor, health. I don't think I missed any abilities. No, this is just scare and rapid advance. Okay, nothing new. Did I go over the Germanic band? I think I did, so let's go to Germanic warband, melee damage, armor, health. Frenzy, okay, normal stuff. Bow infantry, Germanic bows, armor, health, and missile damage. Also have standard shot, flaming shot, whistling shot, and heavy shot here. Germanic hunters, armor, health, and missile damage. See also all these abilities. Germanic archers, armor, health, and missile damage. The Gothic archers, more melee damage, normal armor, health, and missile damage. Elite Germanic archers, armor, armor, health, and missile damage. Again, crossbow infantry, armor. Let's see, their armor, health, and missile damage. Of course, I'm just saying these because I'm going over them with my cursor. You can see the stats, whatever stat you want to see, basically. Slingers, Germanic hurlers, armor, health, and missile damage. Precision shot, standard shot. Visigothic slingers, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. See rapid advance and precision shot with standard shot as well. The skirmishes, Germanic brigands. Let's see, armor, health, and missile damage. No new abilities here, I believe. Nope, not quite. Melee cavalry, Germanic mounted warband, melee damage, armor, health, abilities. Then Germanic horsemen, melee damage, armor, and health. Typhali cavalry, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Then a lot of abilities over here for this unit in particular. Noble Germanic horsemen, melee damage, armor, health, and all these stats as well. Shock cavalry, Germanic lancers, melee damage, armor, and health. Gothic lancers, melee damage, armor, health. Wedge formation as well. Noble Gothic lancers, melee damage, armor, and health. Wedge and steady for them as well. Skirmisher cavalry, Germanic mounted brigands, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Precision shot, standard shot, that seems to be all. Okay, Germanic Raiders. Melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Nothing too big here, I guess. Nothing new. Germanic Knight Raiders, melee damage, armor, health, missile damage. Again, a lot of the units are similar, or basically exactly the same that other factions have, but I'm just going through them in case. Gardinji Cavalry, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Let's see, then rapid advance, precision shot, standard shot, all these abilities. Artillery, onager, missile damage. Okay, and armor and health, of course. Raj, standard round, flaming round. Now the large onager, armor, health, and of course missile damage. What would we do without missile damage? Barrage, standard round, and flaming round, and explosive round. Those were the Visigoths, so now we're just gonna go over Western Roman Empire. That is the last faction we have to cover. Without the culture, without the Viking forefathers back, basically. So let's look over the Western Roman Empire. See, again, Palatina Guards, melee damage, armor and health. Comus, melee damage, armor and health. Nothing new here. This does have attacking testudo. Magister Militum, melee damage, armor and health. As you can see, very sturdy unit. Diamond, steady, disciplined, and courage. Okay. Spear Infantry, Limitani, Bodyguards, or Border Guards rather. Melee damage, armor and health. Defensive testudo. Okay. Comitatensis Spears, melee damage, armor and health. Defensive testudo, expert charge defense, and hide in forest. Western Auxiliary Palatina, melee damage, armor and health. As you can see over here, the Federati Spears, melee damage, armor and health, also some missile damage. The Cornuti Senores, they have, oh, this unit has Que, interestingly enough. Then Cornuti Senores, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Missile. I guess both are all right. Let's have the Studo, steady, standard shot, expert charge, defense, and of course, splint and hide in forest rather. Now the melee infantry, Exploratores, melee damage, armor, health, and rapid advance, campaign stealth. Okay, all of this stuff. Just gonna skip health because I don't know why I keep showing it for like infantry units. Pretty redundant. Melee damage and armor over here. Attacking the Studo. Preventores, melee damage and armor. These abilities as well. They do have rapid advance and encourage. Protectores Domestici, melee damage and armor. And we see the attacking testudo. Okay, the Armigeri Defensores, melee damage, armor, 2 abilities. We see the Cohorse, melee damage, armor, and missile damage. We have standard shot and defensive testudo. Legio, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Defensive testudo and standard shot. Legio Comitatensis, melee damage, armor, missile damage. Of course, defensive testudo and standard shot. Elite Palatina, melee damage, armor, and missile damage. Let's see, attacking testudo, rapid advance, standard shot. Let's look at Herculiani Senores, the melee damage, armor, and missile damage. And that's it with the melee infantry of the Western Roman Empire. Now we have to go over the bows. Just one unit, Sagittari, armor, and missile damage. Of course, precision shot, standard, flaming, whistling, and heavy shot. All there. Now the crossbow infantry, Ballistari, their armor here, and their missile damage. Of course, barrage, standard shot, flaming shot, whistling shot, and heavy shot. Elite Ballistari, they have more melee damage here. That's their armor value and their missile damage. They also have precision shot as an extra ability here. These guys have encourage. Okay, melee damage, armor, and missile damage. Of course. Let's look at the slingers, the Funditores, armor, and missile damage. Just have precision shot and standard shot, basically. Skirmishes, Levis Armature. They have armor, disarmor, missile damage, basically. And then let's look at the Matiari. Melee damage. Quite a lot of it for a skirmisher, armor, and missile damage. They do have rapid advance and standard shot. The Exculcatores. Okay. Slightly more expensive. Melee damage, armor, and missile damage. These abilities too. And the Noble Federati Javelin Men. Melee damage, armor, missile damage. We have one more skill though, and it is precision shot. Interesting. Then the melee cavalry for Western Roman Empire. Scout Equites, melee damage, armor, and now health is important because you can see men and mount HP. Missile damage. Let's look at their abilities. Standard shot and like all the other normal stuff. Equites Dalmate, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. Standard shot, resistant fatigue, and hide in forest. Equites Promoti, melee damage, armor, health, and missile damage. We see the diamond and standard shot. Schole Palatine, or Schole Palatine, not quite sure. Melee damage, armor, health, and these abilities. Diamond steady, discipline, and hide in forest. Shock cavalry, Contari, melee damage, armor, health, resistant fatigue, and hide in forest. Cataphractari, melee damage. Let's see the armor and the health value over here with the wedge. Schole Gentilis, let's see, melee damage, armor, health. What was the melee damage? I don't know if I showed it. Okay, there it is. Wedge, there's the fatigue and hide in forest. Artillery, the onager. Let's see here, health, well, armor, missile damage, barrage, standard round, flaming round. The large onager here. Let's see, armor, health, and missile damage. Well, health is kind of useless, I guess. Barrage, standard round, flaming round, and explosive round. I mean, useless to show on these units because it's just men HP. Scorpio, Carabalistra. This amount of armor, missile damage, and barrage, standard round. And that was basically all the factions that I have at the moment without the culture pack. So I hope you find this video useful. Again, I know I did a lot of I covered a lot of units redundantly, like several times, but I did it in case people wanted to skip through the video and just look at one faction or something like that. And I did it to make sure that despite like being the same units, they didn't have different stats and so on and so forth. But it's not really something in depth, like I didn't test these units or anything like that, so I can't say too much about them, I suppose. Not quite yet anyway. But yeah, that was long and my throat currently hurts, so I do hope that you found this video useful, and if you did, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, share the video, and I shall see you next time.